reason?
There can be a bit of that. Martin O'Neill, immensely popular character, and nobody would have been against him staying on. But he's not stayed on. He's gone, and we need to move on from that. Wilfried Nancy is the guy. He's here right now, and I think we need to get behind him. As long as he's Celtic manager, I'll back him. He seems like an honest broker, a strong character. He's not shirking anything in the media, and I think he needs a bit more backing.
What's actually the issue with the players? And you've watched these 3 games. So what do you think is the issue for what you're seeing? Your eyes don't tell lies. You'd have seen him in the run under O'Neill, unbeaten in 8. New manager comes in, lose 3 games or whatever it might be at this stage. What is the issue with the players?
Yeah, a term doing the rounds, Dara, is information overload. It might well be that there's too much info being put on the players, because Martin O'Neill, and I say this in a really positive way, I think he simplified the game. There was a lot of noise after Brendan Rodgers' exit. Yeah. And Martin O'Neill just came in and stripped that back. And don't get me wrong, he had talented and forward-thinking coaches in the shape of Sean Maloney and Mark Fotheringham. But Martin O'Neill was a guy who likes to maybe go back to basics and just get the best out of people. And there's no doubt that he done that over those 8 games or so. Wilfried Nancy is a very detailed, in-depth kind of coach.
Yeah.
And you could certainly argue that he's trying to change too much too soon. There seems to be a lot of info into what he wants to do.
Why do you think people are mocking him due to just the fact he's got a tactics board? What's wrong with that?
I think there's a snobbery in maybe Scottish football in general, that anybody who has the audacity to come here and try something different, and a tactics board isn't even different, by the way, but anything in any way slightly unusual, we seem to turn our nose up at it, or some folk seem to turn their nose up at it. And whether it's his tactics board or green trainers or a tweet that's doing the rounds that I'm sure you lads are aware of, these aren't things to beat a football manager up about at all. Winning games of football are the issue, and he's not done that so far, so that's fair game. You can go at him for that, but you need to give him the chance to be successful, and he can only do that with each passing game of football.
What does that look like? Does that look like a good 10 games to see, that things are starting to work? Is that in those 10 games, say he loses 5-6 in a row and then turns the corner? Or do you, because you've been quite calm, last week you were calm about it and you were in that kind of party of take the job now, don't wait, respect that. If you lose the next 2-3 games and it looks disastrous out there, are you still in that camp?
I mean, we're all fickle, aren't we, football fans? It's hard to say because I spoke to yourself, Dara, and I think it was Will last week about he's in a bit of bother if he loses the cup final, and that's played out. And now he's in a bit of bother if he can't beat Dundee United tonight, and so on and so forth. I think the Celtic board will back him. I think he will be given games. I think he should be given games. I think any manager should be given games. I don't like the thought of Celtic turning into the club who sack a guy after 3, 4, 5 games. He's inherited a wild-looking squad. There's all sorts of stuff going on with the squad. There's guys they've got one foot out the door. They wanted to leave in summer. There's a raft of injuries, and there's maybe some who just aren't good enough. He's inherited potentially as poor a Celtic squad as we've seen in recent times. So he's not had his troubles to seek. But I say all that with the caveat that Wilfried Nancy himself, could and should be doing some things better. But as I said earlier on, I think there's some things that are getting put on him which aren't fair at all. When you said about him being in bother, he's not in bother yet, surely? He is in bother. There's no shying away from that. That's just this world, and that's football across the globe, really, now, isn't it? All right.
Football's a very toxic place very quickly.
I know. I know that the pressure in Glasgow is more than most. I know that home to Hearts, all right, you're at home. OK, that's bad, but Hearts are having a very good season. Roma, come on. You can accept that one. OK, the St Mirren's the one where I'd be a little bit more worried if I was a Celtic fan, but 3 games. I mean, even the most lacking of impatience owners wouldn't have a manager in bother after 3 games. I agree with you, Tom. I think it's 3 tough games, and I think it's pretty harsh to judge him on these 3 games, whilst, as I say, accepting that he's made mistakes in those 3 games. There's some tactical mistakes he's made. But when you come in with a system that you back, that you believe in, that got you the Celtic job in the first place, you need to go with that system, and it's maybe just one of those ones that takes time. And I don't want to keep going back to the Ange situation, but Ange had bumps in the road, and it eventually came really good, and we got some great times. That may or may not happen with Wilfried Nancy, but he needs to be given the time to make it happen. You mentioned there a tweet that we might be aware of. The thing is, there is a Wilfred Nancy Twitter account, which we don't know if it hasn't got a blue tick, but I don't think blue ticks mean verified anymore these days. It can mean that it's paid for. But do you mean the one with the two circles, where it's got like two circles which are mainly empty? Venn diagram is what I mean, sorry. It says things that matter, and it's mainly empty. Things you can control, mainly empty. And in the middle, where they just adjoin, it says what you should focus on. Is that the tweet that you mean? But we must say that we don't know whether this actually is Wilfred Nancy on Twitter or not.
Yeah, that's the tweet I'm referring to, and maybe Wilfred just didn't want to pay the $9.99 for the blue tick. You can't call a man out for that. But he, it's I don't really care about the tweet. It's the Venn diagram. I agree fully with the sentiment of it. Control the controllables, right? Yeah. It's a message that he's put forward in recent times. It's a message that Ange put forward, and some people have got a different way of doing things. It's not ideal that he's put it on Twitter, but I don't really care. I care about him winning games of football. I care about him beating Dundee United tonight.
He needs to fire his agent. The only thing Nancy needs to do is fire his agent, because any agent in their right mind would have taken that situation and said to Celtic, my client will join you after that cup final. That's when his start date will be. And that, I know we can't go back in time. I know we can't change all of that. But as a representative of somebody, they should have said to him, you're not going in there until those games are done, because I'm managing you the right way. And you're on a hide into nothing, by the way. So that's just my opinion on that.
Is that amplified? Because we've all talked about that. We've all talked about that on this show, and it seemed to suit everybody. If it would have suited Wilfred Nancy, and you're saying his agent should have advised him to do that, we know it would have suited Martin O'Neill, because he said that secretly, although he made it open, he was quite looking forward to being in charge of the cup final.
These are all things. It's a really valid point from Dara. Our discussion was that he should have started before the Dundee game, give him a slightly easier game to bed in, or he should have started on Monday morning there after the cup final. But that's the move the club made. I think somebody at the club should take more responsibility for that. And Paul Tisdale comes into this equation. He's head of football operations at this moment in time. And somebody somewhere has made a footballing call which I don't think has given Wilfred Nancy the best possible chance of success, the optimal chance of success. And he's involved in the decision himself as well. But whether it's him or his reps, as you say, Dara, the timing, in hindsight, of course, everything is, but in hindsight, the timing's been really poor.